says, I don't know. I don't think we watched the same movie, but we were sitting there. Says, what do you mean? I said, and she said, that was the greatest romance movie I have ever seen.
The greatest romance.
I loved it. She said, it's such an amazing romance. Oh my gosh. I was in tears and emotionally like invested. And it's like this romance, it's like, oh my gosh. And I looked at her like she was from a different planet.
Hi, I'm Larry.
And I'm Inelia. Welcome to the first part of our two-part podcast, Driving to the Rest and the Wisdom Keeper Hour.
If you like this first part, join us on drivingtotherest.com and join the rest of the conversation, including the after party on Friday mornings.
9 a.m. Pacific.
And you become a part of the conversation.
You do.
Anyway,
literals. Yeah.
For literals. For reals.
For reals.
So this week, as every week,
I wrote an article and we're going to talk about it.
You want to read the article, you can find it at drivingtotherest.com.
All right, so the title of this article is your reality correctly perceived?
Yeah, that's quite the question.
This question has two sides. Well, it has more than two sides, but
Clearly.
There's two sides that I'm going to be exploring in this article, okay?
Okay, because there's 700 sides to this one.
Yes. Okay. We can become cognizant of those two sides by asking, perceived by whom?
Say again?
Is your reality correctly perceived? And
by whom?
Yeah, we can become cognizant of it, of the sides of this equation, right? This question, by saying by whom.
Okay.
Right? One of those sides, and the most common, is where you feel that others don't interpret you correctly. An example of this would be if you ever asked yourself, why don't people get me? Or when you make a statement such as, I just don't get those people. Some other examples are, nobody understands me, or people just don't get where I'm coming from, or if you could walk a day in my shoes.
There's like all of these excuses for other people's behavior in some ways.
Okay, kind of, right?
It does seem like it. I mean, I remember one morning I was walking down the dock, getting ready to go fishing, and my great uncle was walking the other way. And he has something of a reputation for being crabby, but he's still my great uncle.
Right.
And despite his manners or lack of manners, you're supposed to respect your elders and give them consideration and all that. So I never, talked bad to him about him or any of those things. And this morning I was walking down the dock and I was happy and I said good morning to him. I said, good morning as I'm walking by. And he said, fuck you. I was like, holy cow. I was like, I was not expecting that. We are totally different realities, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. Completely and utterly different realities.
He knew I was giving him shit.
Yes.
Calling him a bad word.
Yeah. There must have been a reason for you. You probably knew
he was having
a terrible day, so you were teasing him.
Teasing him by saying good morning.
I bet.
Good morning. What's so good about this morning? This morning sucks, and you're just rubbing it in.
Yeah, that type of thing.
Yeah.
That's a great example of two completely different realities.
That reminds me of a meme I sent to my daughter, too.
Yeah.
She wanted to go to school in New York. And she's choosing between New York and California, And we went and visited New York, and it actually was like empty of people. It was easy to get in the hardest restaurant.
It was started thing, right?
There was nobody around. It was so easy to get everywhere.
20.
It was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, she picked California. But there was this lady. She's this little meme thing, and she's saying, New York, I'm so happy to see you. And then New York answered back, fuck you. And her eyes were like the same. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah,
They're living in two different
I
worlds.
know. It's very, very different. I've only been to New York once and only in a taxi for an overnight stay of an airplane that couldn't take off again, so they sent us to hotels.
Mm-hmm.
And it was horrific. I mean,
Horrific.
oh my gosh, it was like the driver and the people in the street, they were just so bad and to each other. And at the end, like, you got lost, and it's like, you told me you knew how this was going to go, and it was going to be XYZ, and now you're telling me it's 5 times that amount, and you're lost. You expect me to pay for that? I don't think so, I said. He got out of the taxi and swore at me all the way into the hotel, man. Jeez. My gosh, it was bad. Hotel people were like, yeah, this is normal.
That's New York.
What do you want?
What do you expect?
And in California, it's the opposite. I get to California and it's big smiles and people saying, have a great day. I remember my sister said, that doesn't sound genuine. It's a little bit kind of programmed. Are they forced to say that?
Does everybody have to say that?
Yeah, are they forced? No, she because she's very, very intuitive about, people being oppressed and stuff, because in some of her work, that's who she deals with, people who are being oppressed, right? And she literally thought that those people were being forced to smile and say, have a great day after each interaction.
Well, they do force people to wash their cars.
Oh,
You have to have clean, shiny cars in California.
what happens if you don't?
They kick you out.
Oh, really? Has that been your experience?
So far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they kick you out?
You don't belong here, obviously. They give you the cold shoulders.
The cold shoulders?
Yeah.
So who gives you the cold shoulders?
The whole rest of the village that has their clean, shiny cars when I got my dirty car parked next to them.
What kind of village?
Oh, like where you buy all the stuff next to Safeways, or there's a Starbucks in there sometimes.
Oh, like a street mall?
Yeah.
They do like to make them look like little villages, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah. That is a very good example of the perception thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Let's go read some more.
Okay, where were we?
Well,
oh yeah, right here.
The other side of this equation.
The other side of this equation is less common, but growing in popularity. This one is encompassed in the question, am I interpreting my reality correctly?
I have noticed this much, much more.
You have?
Yeah, happening much, much more.
I know, right?
People that they're, I guess it would be, the way it looks like to me, is they are going from being asleep to waking up and realizing, wait a minute. What I thought was true isn't even based on anything that's true. It's just made up.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Yeah, it's kind of like waking up, kind of.
Yeah, I think
to a more true, what I would call a more true reality, but hey, who knows?
Who knows, right? Both sides of this equation are fascinating. It is commonplace for other people not to understand you or perceive the reality of your life correctly. We have not been given the tools or examples of how to do this.
Although I have seen a few seem to be born with it, and a few make their entire life about teaching it.
Like whom?
Like my teacher in high school, Chuck Giraz.
Hi, Chuck. I hope you're listening.
He's up there listening.
Oh, he died?
Oh, yeah.
Aw.
He was older when I was in high school.
Oh, I see.
But
hey, Chuck, in your new lifetime.
Yes, wherever that might be.
Wherever that might be. You're in your 30s now.
He basically said, whatever it is, and we would take the newspapers, we take magazines, we take articles, we take science papers, we take all of the observations or the things that we were getting as data, and we would have to truth it. In other words, just because it says it, is it actually true? And how are you going to find out if it's true or not? So the process of truthing things that you find was the entirety of the class. And it was a 2-hour class, but most classes were an hour.
So basically,
and invitation only also.
So basically, if it's written in black and white in your newspaper, it doesn't make it necessarily true. Is that what he was teaching you?
He was teaching you just because it's written here doesn't make it true. Just because you saw it that doesn't mean the conclusion you drew is true either. We need to be able to prove these things are true through truthing them, and truthing them through research, through your feeling, your intuitions, all of these different tools that you can bring to bear on what it is you just saw and what you just read.
How do you counteract the
Confirmation bias?
confirmation bias on that equation?
Well, because we didn't read anything assuming it's true or false. We tried to prove it either false.
If it makes a statement, then you go out of your way to prove it false, or
more along the lines of how would you prove it to be true, or how would you prove it to be false? In other words, what are the things that you would find that falsify it? What are the things you would find that?
And what sort of articles did they give you to work on?
All the articles were what we brought in. We bring in a newspaper because a lot of us have had the experience of an event that we were at, and then we read the report of it in the newspaper,
and you go,
and we're like,
didn't happen.
That wasn't what I saw.
That's not what happened there.
That's not even close to what happened there.
Yeah.
It's like, why is it saying that? That's not true. These kind of things were experiences that many of us have had. And so the natural extension is how much of the stuff that we're reading is actually based on what actually happened, and how much of it is based on other things, and what might those other things be, and how would you find out one way or the other.
Right.
So, for instance, a newspaper article of a local thing, how would you truth it? You would truth it to start with by collecting evidence of the people who were there. Is this what they saw? And what did you see? And what did you see? And collecting evidence. It'd be things like that.
Right.
So we might not necessarily go take an article and take it to its conclusion of truthing by asking people, but we would go through the steps. How would I prove this one way or the other?
What steps would I take
to truth it?
To truth this thing. Got it. Yeah.
And can we accept it as true, or is this an interpretation, or what's going on? In other words, wake up. And this is in 1984.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
It's quite a ways ago.
Yeah. Good job for manifesting that teacher.
Yeah, it stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
Hi, Brad.
If you're watching the video, we have Brad coming up to say hi to us. Okay, those are good examples. All right. Both sides of this equation are fascinating. It is commonplace for other people not to understand you or perceive the reality of your life correctly. We have not been given the tools or examples of how to do this, except for Larry, who had a great teacher that we gave him some of the tools to step out of that, what is my reality? Is my reality real type thing, right?
Right.
The next question to ask ourselves around this topic, which would move us along, could be then, how do I express myself in a way that others can understand me and perceive me correctly? But although it does move us along, it can easily entrap us.
I'll say.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, all my deckhands don't seem to get me, so maybe we should go drinking beer with them, and then they can understand me. I'll just change how I communicate by drinking beer with them. Then they'll be able to understand, or I'll be able to understand, or I'll see who knows.
I'll walk in their shoes for
a few decades.
Oh, decades. Oops. Yes, well,
Oops.
No.
Not the best plan.
It's kind of like slightly different to what I meant, though, because you're saying, how will I understand them, or be seen by them, or be normal to them, and be able to be connected to.
Right.
But it's not exactly communicating who you truly are in a way they can understand, right? So let's say, like the reading aspect, you love to read, right? You're a lecturian. But let's say they never read a book in their lives unless they were forced to by school. There's no connection there, but that's part of who you are. Yeah?
Well, if you drink beer instead, then you don't want to read a book.
Yeah, but that's you doing the other thing. You're not expressing yourself correctly.
True.
Right?
But it was one of the methods I was using to try to
connect.
Figure out,
Yeah, connect. Yeah.
That's my excuse anyway.
Here's the problem. Most people don't care to understand you or see your true nature. Not really. Even if another person is super interested in your life and reality, it will eventually become obvious that they have their own personal reason, their own importances for that interest. And it doesn't actually involve you or your reality. It is a dynamic of, what's in it for me?
Kind of like, yeah, I want to connect with you. I want to know all about you because I want to know what it is that you can do for me.
Yeah.
Or how can you make me feel loved or helped or cherished or safe or put the word there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not so much you, but how can you fit into what makes me feel better?
Yeah.
Kinda.
And if we look at it from the larger societal perspective of data gathering about everything you do online, or everything you say in your phone or computer or any other type of device, even your fridge, right?
I saw our fridge on my phone yesterday.
You did?
I did.
What was your fridge doing?
What is the fridge talking to my phone?
So, that type of getting to know you, what would you say that's about? They're really interested in
They're
getting to
very
know
interested in getting to know me. They must really think I'm special.
you. Is that what you think?
Yeah.
What do you really think?
I really think that they're figuring out how to target ads better.
Exactly. Yeah.
How can we sell him a new fridge?
How can we manipulate his actions?
How can we collect data on him that we can then use to manipulate his behaviors?
Yes, his behaviors. Right. All right. In the Love, Sex, and Relationships course, I give an exercise where the person sits in a public place like a cafe, and as they see people, they make the statement, that person is two, and then they add something like
to something. Yeah.
So they're
that
too
person
pretty,
is just too pretty or
too ugly, too stuck up, too uncouth, or whatever it might be.
too dirty.
Too dirty, too clean. And then the answer comes, for what?
Right. Then you have to add the for what.
Yes, you have to
that
answer yourself
person's
for what.
Too dirty for getting in my car.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Actually, since it's the relationship course,
Love, sex, and
relationship course, that person's too, my gosh, we're that shallow for a relationship.
Yeah. There you
don't even know anything about this person.
Nothing.
You could have just
Nothing.
Literally just got done fixing a flat tire for a granny that was trapped on the side of the road. So that's why his clothes are dirty.
Yeah.
But he's the most conscientious, clean person you ever met in your entire life. But he's too dirty for a relationship.
Yeah. Or his nose too big, or
his nose is too big.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or his eyes are too close together. That's a big one.
Well, I did meet a girl whose nose was
too big and her eyes too close together.
Couldn't do that. Sorry.
I thought you were
perfect in every other way, though.
Oh my god!
But not those things.
I'm shocked and surprised.
Well, it was distracting.
Got it.
I mean, if I closed my eyes, I could listen just fine. But you have to open your eyes every now and then. But I didn't have I hadn't taken the class at that time either.
Got it.
If I had taken the class, honestly, probably none of those things would have been anywhere near the issue that they were at the time.
Yeah. Yes. So, and the answer illustrates our agendas around connecting or not connecting with that person. It shows us many programs we may have running that limit our perception of the people around us. Programs that make up the reality we can see and the reality we cannot see without breaking some barriers first.
Realities we can see, realities we can see.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is your reality correctly perceived, honey?
Mine? What?
What do you see for reality?
What do I see as reality?
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
Well, I'm just thinking about there's a 700 things, maybe 1,000, maybe 5,000 things that I've thought, boy, that virus is like maybe from Wuhan or something, right? And then I ask you, what do you think, honey? Where's that virus from? And then you look at it and you say, oh, there's no such thing as a virus. And I go, how in the hell did you see that? So that's one of the million things that you see that then I have to truth it as I've been trained.
Uh-huh.
And then I find, well, I'll be dipped. That's true. And I would have never guessed it.
Yeah.
In my reality, That wasn't. It wasn't true.
Yeah.
What's true was there's a question whether that came from a lab or that came from a pangolin.
Right.
There was never the question of does it actually even exist?
Right.
That was assumed.
Yeah.
And that was the training. You're supposed to train and ask all those questions. And that's, I think, what makes Dr. Cowan special.
Yes.
Is he definitely,
Asks.
even things like oxygen real,
Yeah.
cells real,
Yes. He'll ask
every freaking thing. It was like, how exhausting.
everything.
Every assumption you have.
Yes, he will question it.
So
he'll research it and he'll study it. He'll do all the things. For sure.
Yeah. So, how do you perceive reality and the rest of us around you?
Oh my gosh. So
Like,
recently a student said, I'd like to be able to strengthen my mind body so I can be doing multiple things while having a deep and connective conversation with another person.
wow.
And it's just like you. And I'm like me? What do I do? Right? Is it that transparent? Is that transparent? And she said, well, you do so many other things at the same time. Like, and then it's like, yeah, like tapping into the universe and seeing what's going on there and the whole world and the human collective and Gaia and past, future, and present and different timelines.
While we're talking about
A very deep and interesting conversation. So that, oh yeah, I forget people don't do that. Yeah. Reality to me is fascinating because it's not the same moment to moment, you know? And it is different for each person. I think one of our previous episodes, we talked about how everyone is the center of their own universe. And by universe, we can translate that as reality. And literally, everybody's reality is different. And as you start like, you can travel like a tourist inside different people's realities. And in fact, until very recently, and I would say until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, my sense of existence was I am a tourist or a visitor in other people's reality. Right? So it's like,
interesting.
I swim and I'm a visitor in Larry's reality and I'm a visitor in this other person's reality or my children's reality. I'm just a visitor there. And is there a reality that is mine? I don't find one. Yeah. And I remember growing up with the knowledge and knowing that I must not leave any signs of my existence in reality. So
Right.
leaving no footprints.
Leave no
reality.
prints.
No prints at all. And I always tried to figure that one out, how to do that. And then in 2010, when I was asked to go public, I was like,
that's the opposite.
That's opposite. So how do we do both? But then I figured out that most people listen to what I say in a public way, and then they forget I said it. And they think
completely forget. Yeah.
Original idea. That could be interpreted to mean there's no
prints.
But is that true or real?
Yes, it is.
It feels like I did leave a footprint.
Well, not you. You left a print, but it wasn't you who left the print.
Right. Who'd left the print?
They think they did.
So does it make it real that they think that?
They're the observer of it. Mm-hmm. If you don't tell them, they'll just go on believing it.
Yeah. So that's how realities are created, right?
That makes your books fun to read because...
my novels, you mean?
Yeah, you could just read them over and over again. They're different every time.
Even I read one that we were editing, an interview with an alien.
Yeah.
And I was reading, and I kept thinking, because I'm working with Martha, my beautiful editor, and we were like, I was reading and thinking, oh my God, I wrote this in 2009. Like, I wrote this in 2009. And all the things that were about, going to happen or about to happen or whatever's, or the dynamics and things that were being discussed in the book. It's like, yeah, it was quite fascinating, but also there was quite a few items in there that I completely forgotten that I wrote. And it was, for me, even was, oh, this is the first time I read this thing, but obviously I wrote it. So
You wrote it and you read it a few.
yeah.
That's,
So yeah, it's a little bit like that, or watching a movie. I remember my sister and I both watched the movie, something about, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was about a vampire. And um, he called himself Dracul. And he would, I didn't drink wine. He said those lines in that movie. So if you know that movie, you know which movie I'm talking about. Anyways, I came out of the theater, like within the theater, I did my best not to laugh my head off. And then I came out and I said, that was the best comedy I've seen in years, right? It was such a great comedy. Oh my God, I loved it. I just loved that comedy. It was so good. It was like a dark comedy, but it was so freaking funny. I was just cracking up at every other line. And my sister looks at me with her eyes wide open and she says, what are you talking about? I says, what do you mean? I says, I don't know. I don't think we watched the same movie, but we were sitting there. I says, what do you mean? I said, and she said, that was the greatest romance movie I have ever seen.
the greatest romance.
I loved it. She said, it's such an amazing romance. Oh my gosh. I was in tears and emotionally like invested. And it's like this romance, it's like, oh my gosh. And I looked at her like she was from a different planet. I said, was it a romance? No, it's a comedy. It's a comedy. It's like, black comedy or whatever they call it. But still extremely, extremely funny. I just could not see that movie as a romance. And my sister thought I was nuts, thinking it was funny. So do you see like two different worlds? The same movie, just like my book's the same book, but it's like you can experience something utterly different with the same thing.
So would you say your perception of it was real and hers wasn't, or her perception was real and yours wasn't, or both perceptions were real,
Well,
or neither?
the way that I saw it was that our perception is what gave us our experience of that movie. Like our personalities and our perceptions, what do we pay attention to? I'm very keen on words and wordplay myself. So I was fascinated by the writers who wrote all those lines. And to me, they all had extraordinary, funny meanings. While for her perceptions are of relationships. She's a very relationship based person, right? And for her, it was all about the human connections, or the connections, I should say, because of course, Dracul wasn't human, he was a vampire. But for her, the connection between people was amazing. And she said, like, and she just kept talking about the scene where he looks at her and says, see me, or something across the street, and she turns around and sees him. And I can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember it, but she kept, I think it was a scene in there.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. But anyways, for her, it was that connection that was like so deep and so meaningful because that's her life. She works with people and she connects with people, and it's all about connection for her. And for me, it's all about funny words, I suppose. So it was our perceptions that created our reality. All right, so where were we? Oh, yeah. So it is one of the main links in the chain of power over others paradigm to be what is commonly referred to as self-absorbed. In the West, self-absorption or being self-involved is pushed into a growing child in every single way and in every single day. Why, you may ask? Because otherwise, the child would naturally become sovereign and interpret the question the other way. Am I perceiving my reality correctly?
That's a good question.
Yeah. And I think that teacher, that's what he did with you. He taught you, are you perceiving your reality correctly?
Exactly what he was teaching us.
Yeah. So you're very lucky.
Very.
Once a person starts asking themselves that question, even for one day, the power over others' mechanizations start to crack wide open. It is a first step, of course. Am I perceiving my reality correctly? As we ask this question, our mind expands and we test what we are perceiving. Often, when this happens, the programs and beliefs that hold us in a reality of fear and stress stop influencing us. The mechanisms to influence the masses and keep them locked up in their own self-absorbed state are easily crushed when we turn the tables on this simple question. A step that after that could be, am I perceiving your reality correctly? And after that, are we perceiving our reality correctly? And I really like to play with those two. I think all the time. I love it. What do you think about those two?
Yeah, makes you go, It takes a step and then another step and then another step.
Yes, yes. Okay, so play around with all those questions, see what happens, and come to share it on an after party on our subscriber page of drivingtotherest.com every Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Yes. Yeah, the second part of the show starts right now if you're subscribed.
And I'm looking forward to the Wisdom Keepers, what they have to say about this.
Our panel of wisdom keepers, professionals and mystics, all of them.
Yes.
Okay, see ya.
See you then. Oh, you forgot the click.
Let's go. 1, 2, 3, now.
Welcome, everyone, to the Wisdom Keeper Hour, the second half of Driving to the Res. Today we're talking about, is your reality correctly perceived? Hi, Larry and Inelia.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
Hi, panelists.
Hi.
And joining as our panelists today, I'm Ashley Swale. I'm CEO of iBenz Academy, iBenz Method Mentor, Corporate HR Leader, Mystic, and Yoga Teacher.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Kara Consigli. I'm an iBenz Method Mentor, a healer, teacher, consultant, gamer, and mystic.
Hi, I'm Fred Guerin. I'm an aerospace engineer, pilot, dancer, past life regression therapist, and student of the occult and healer.
Hi, I'm Ileana Rogero. I'm a mystic, mentor, psychic meditation teacher, architect, and founder of El Método Events, the official channel of Inelia's teachings in Spanish.
Brilliant. All right. Well, I'm going to kick it over to Kara to get us started in this conversation.
Yes, Larry, you asked Inelia a very interesting question in the first hour, which I feel like we could spend a little bit more time exploring. It was when you asked Inelia, what does she perceive her reality to be correctly? And there was a bit of a like tangent, and I don't know, maybe you answered it, maybe you didn't, Inelia, but
Seems like a bit of deflection in there to me too.
it seemed like a bit of a deflection. So
man, my redirecting work on you, Dr. Kara.
So we have a two-parter. What do you perceive when it's my reality correctly perceived? And then what do you perceive when it's our reality correctly perceived?
Okay. My reality correctly perceived is a blank because there's no I, my, for my. So I don't actually have my reality. It's like I tried to grasp for it. I can't find anything. Right. And then our reality correctly perceived, it's more like a borrowed viewpoint where I go into the physical universe and the human experience, and I can observe it, witness it, and try to understand it as well as I can, but not quite. It's almost like, let's say you were analyzing a dream you had last night. And let's say like there were 10 of your friends there in that dream. And you're trying to analyze it and remember it all. It's a little bit like that.
Join us for the rest of this conversation at driveintotheres.com.
And when you go to driveintotheres.com and you join in the rest of the show, rest of the second hour, you also get to join in the after party. 9 o'clock on Fridays, we all get together, including you.